and welcome to Right for America, issues that unite, don't ignite. I am your host, Cindy Gross, better known as the Jewess Patriot. But as all of you know, you don't have to be Jewish to be a part of our show. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. This is quite a unique show. It's a great show, a great reunion, and a very special discussion about what's going on in Hollywood, what's going on in entertainment. And before we start, first of all, I want to give a shout out to a business out of Delaware. They want you to know that not everything in Delaware is a laptop from hell. This is from the Styled Right, and the hat says, everything is great again. You can go online and buy their products and support conservative, patriotic businesses in America. I also want to have a disclaimer. The views of this show are not necessarily the views of the America First Warehouse, WGBB Radio, any of the outlets that stream us, or even Cindy's Corners Productions. And any of you who have anything you wish to add to the show, please feel free to reach out through our social media, through the America First Warehouse or Cindy Gross with a Z. And with that, we're going to get into a very brief opening my pearls of wisdom because my Jewish name is Zisel Perel, which means sweet pearl in Yiddish. I'm going to let a lot of the discussion of entertainment, especially the end of award season with the Oscars, really be front and center with our guests because both have a lot to say and both have been very outspoken and both have been honored for their work in the field. So they are the perfect people to talk to. But before I get into that, as the Jewess Patriot, I have to discuss something front and center that concerns me and many people who think like me. And that is that America and the world is not doing a very good job of teaching what Zionism is. And for those who are Jewish, yes, we can be proud that we had a Best Actor and a Best Actress Jewish award winners and the Best Supporting Actor that was portrayed by a non-Jew, portraying a Jew whose grandparents came from Europe. But the realistic uh, hit for all of us was the fact that No Man's Land, and I didn't really want to mention it, but the best documentary from Netflix, all about the Palestinians, won Best Documentary. And it was applauded by an audience of Americans who have lived the American dream better than everybody else, including most of us in the audience. And within their acceptance speeches, they discussed not being happy with this administration or America. Well, to all of those who don't really understand or appreciate the freedom and democracy that Zionism relates to, which is a pride in a homeland, a Jewish state for the Jewish people that is also very welcoming to Christians and Muslims and everybody else. Well, let me tell you something. If you don't appreciate our government, no one is keeping you here. There are people that are dying to come in here, literally. They want to come in legally. And they would be more than happy to take your place in this country, especially take your salaries, your awards, all the perks you get with being in the business. Please don't stay here and don't get up on an American stage and mock an American government and an American dream. We're going to talk about that a lot more in my closing because my two guests are here. It's very special to have this reunion of Martha Byrne and Michael Swan. I can't tell you how long I've been trying to get Michael Swan on with us because I am such a big admirer. And both of them, you guys know that Martha's been on the show before and we're friends. But Michael is new to the show. So welcome. We're going to start with you, Michael. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Happy to be here.
Michael, you were a heartthrob. You still are a heartthrob for a new generation. And you are somebody who really uh, if people follow you, they understand just how intelligent you are. You really respond to things, and you relate to things so well. And what were your first thoughts about um, the Oscars and award season?
Oh, well, geez, I haven't watched the Oscars in 20 years just because of the silliness of imbuing politics into what is supposed to be about movies. It disgusted me a long time ago. And I just, I have better things to do than watch a lot of pap come across when it should be talking about movies, how we make them, and how we love them.
So I have to tell you one thing that I did notice this year. I do watch the awards. Maybe I'm one of the last ones, but I had to watch actually the Oscars because my nephew was nominated for an award. So it
Hey,
was like kind of going crazy in our family. Um, but the truth of the matter is, at the SAG Awards, they recognize the work of daytime television. I think Demi Moore really brought a lot of attention to people with the importance of daytime TV, and just really what a wonderful craft it is. Really, one of the hardest jobs to have if you do it successfully, with which both of you have. Martha, join in a little bit in this discussion. What did you think when you saw somebody very similar in age to us getting so many awards, and really everybody was watching how she looked at every award? Not only was she for being talked about because of her acting, but her beauty and what she was wearing. It wasn't a 20-year-old they were talking about, it was somebody of our age.
I loved her dress for the Oscars. I didn't watch the Oscars, but I've seen her speeches, Demi Moore's speeches when she has won, and I loved her speeches. I loved when she said that she was told she was a popcorn actress, and there she was getting this incredible award for her work. I think that to survive in this business is enough. Everybody should get an award if you can survive this that long. And she is, I loved her humility. And I think when you've come from a daytime background and the work that you've done and how hard it is, and she remembered her roots, I think that's why she is still doing so well. I feel like she's in touch with that part of her psyche and her but she looks stunning. I mean, I think there's she is always beautiful. I mean, she just always was. When she I watched her on General Hospital. I was a huge fan of hers on General Hospital. So I have a special place in my heart for her as a fan. And then, I was a little disappointed she didn't win the Oscar because I was waiting for her speech. Maybe she'll post it somewhere because I'm sure it would have been fantastic.
Well, speaking of General Hospital, I think I recently saw a movie that, Michael, you co-starred with Antonio Sabato Jr. I think it was one of the
um,
streaming lines that I was watching.
it was a series we did called Hilton Head Island, which was an experiment. It was all green screen. So everything you saw of Hilton Head Island, all the exteriors and even the interiors, were done on green screen. And it was fun having Antonio on the show because, as you know, Antonio is a fairly conservative fellow, and we had some good discussions. And now he's in Florida, and he's doing very well down there, I understand.
Actually, Martha and I spoke with him recently. Yes, he is. He's started a whole bunch of different avenues to make money, and he's doing very well. So, Michael, what have you been doing with yourself? Tell
Oh,
us.
well, there's a lot of content these days because of streaming. So I've been lucky enough to uh, be involved with a director for whom I've done 6 movies in the last 4 years. He has done 23 movies in the last 4 years on things like Lifetime and Up TV and all those streaming apps. So that's been really good for me. I have a couple of steady voiceover jobs, and other than that, I'm doing those damn selfie auditions. Hate those. Hate those. But it's what's going on these days. I'm on my way into a in-person callback. Haven't had one of those in like a couple of years. I wish I could talk about it, but it's an NDA gig. So anyway, that's what I'm on my way into here.
And now Martha and I, we went to a couple of Trump rallies together, and we've
That's
been
great.
fairly vocal about our support of the president. And like you, since you opened the discussion, I mean, you're not afraid to say that you are a conservative actor. What do you think is the trend now that Trump is in and the whole situation in California with the fires? Do you think the group, starting with the John Voight, Mel Gibson, Sylvester Stallone envoys, is it going to make a difference in Hollywood?
I think it already has, and I think it's been brewing for many years. We used to have an organization called FOA, Friends of Abe, which was anonymous, so I'm not supposed to say that, but we did, and it was all Hollywood conservatives. And we met, we had did like did dinners and meetings, and we tried to support each other. And I think that so that's been dissolved. It was dissolved when Trump first came into office because we didn't really need it that much anymore. But I think we can see that the country is turning, making a right turn, which I'm grateful about. I just wish California and our wonderful Governor Newsom would get a brain.
Well, it's amazing because so many of the reality stars, especially from Orange County, are very outspoken. And
Yes,
having Steve Garvey, I mean, it's just a shame that the Republican National Committee is not paying attention, and Trump really should be going out to rallies in Chicago, in San Diego, in areas that he could make that difference because he really is the leader of the movement. And we have so many local elections in 2025. Um, I just can't say it any better than that. I think that it's something they lost momentum on. It's true that Trump has a lot going on in DC, but they have to work now towards 2026 and even start with some of the congressional races.
absolutely. Let's come on, Don. Let's go to a couple rallies. Keep doing your
We'll
rallies,
join you.
man.
We'll join you.
Yeah.
Both of you can answer the next question. What do you think about the new CBS drama? You both were superstars on CBS daytime. Uh, what do you think about the fact that they have decided to devote 1 hour to a daytime drama, something that hasn't been done in 2 decades?
I
Go
think it's
ahead, Mark.
unbelievable. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's great. I think it's I listen, I think when World Turns went off the air and All My Children and so many people lost jobs, hundreds if not I mean thousands of people lost jobs. New York City became, an island for nothing of soaps anymore. So anytime there's work, I know it's in Atlanta, and Atlanta is kind of the hub now of production. And from what I understand, it's a full tilt production, and it's always a good thing when scripted dramas are produced because having written a few myself and having pitched them, it's a very hard sell. They're not cheap, and to put money into it and have it be Procter and Gamble putting money into it and being behind it, that's also a good sign. And maybe they'll want to do more if it does well. I mean, Tamara Tooney is obviously
I was just going to
one.
ask Michael. I think he was
Yeah,
involved with her
he
in more
sure
of a.
was.
I think
Yeah, very,
his
very happy
storyline.
for, very, very happy for Tamara. I think it's wonderful. And if you've seen photos of her, she just looks great.
Yeah.
And the outfits they're giving her, they just look great. So I'm with Martha. I think it's wonderful. It may start a new trend. Who knows? That would be great. Nothing like scripted drama, huh? So yeah, I think it's wonderful, and like I say, very happy for.
And what's
Uh,
great is that she's aged and they've let her age. They didn't, she's
oh yeah.
letting the gray
Oh
hang out. She looks great and she looks age appropriate. And I just think that, like Martha said, and I've discussed this with many soap actors who I'm friends with, that the quality is not what it used to be, but the fans are demanding it. You go on the pages on social media and you go to live events, there are people that are demanding the soaps come back. They want to see them. I think some of them are now streaming through some of the smaller outlets and they're getting a lot of attention again.
Yeah, I think with
yeah.
Peacock too, with Days of Our Lives, when they went on, I think it was the number one streaming show on Peacock for, so there's an audience there. I just think that there needs to be some evolution to it and what that looks like. And, having produced some online soaps myself and kind of seeing, that space and how there's such quality there. There's a lot of quality streaming soaps right now that I feel like could jump very easily to television. I feel like they are that good. And so I feel like there's a marriage there somewhere between the two, meaning I feel like we could still do this format. It just needs to be uh, adjusted a bit to make them be more appealing to those services where they can make money. It's all about the profit, expense, profit margin, etc. And soaps are very expensive, but they don't have to be. They don't have to be. It's all about the writing. It's all about the quality of the writing and the way it looks, and that's achievable more so now than ever to make it beautiful.
Wouldn't it be amazing if somebody like Great American Family did a conservative soap opera?
It would be. Why not?
I mean, there are so many people, and we won't name names because they don't want to be exposed, but we know people currently on soaps that are conservative, and we certainly know enough that are household names that are conservative that were on shows that are no longer around. So it wouldn't be hard to even cast them.
No, it wouldn't. there are lots of the whole gang's still out there.
So do you guys keep in touch with a lot of people from the show? I mean, how long is As the World Turns Off? Is it like 20 years already?
No, it went off in 2010.
Yeah, 2010. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, we see each other, sometimes when I go to California and visit, it's always nice to see everybody. It's like not a day has passed. It's really a family. I don't keep in touch with that many people. Obviously, Elizabeth Hubbard and Lisa Brown, who passed this last couple of years, I was very close with. But we had little reunions here and there, which are so nice. And it is we lived in such a special time together that we have this wonderful connection that will never go away. It's like high school. It's not like college, it's like high school. It's like when you have those really wonderful, we were in such a beautiful time in soap operas and daytime, and we got to do so many wonderful storylines and work with the best writers. So it's very nostalgic for us to get together and see each other.
So I'm going to throw out a little something. You didn't watch the Oscars, but the closing was with Meg Ryan and
oh, nice,
Billy Crystal. And what I remember the most about As the World Turns at the peak I was watching when you guys were on was watching Meg grow up on that. Marissa Tomei, Oscar winner. Of course, Julianne Moore, when she played both twins. I mean, there was a time that so many people in Hollywood, award winners, were coming and started from As the World Turns. I mean, it was unbelievable the number of people that came from there. So, what was like Marissa Tomei? What was your memory working with her or having her on set? Michael, did you have that?
She was gone by the time I got there.
What about Julianne Moore?
And Julianne and I had a friendship, but we never had any scenes together. But she was always, that was one of the sharpest minds I've ever met.
For sure.
Yeah, she was a bright star in many ways.
Yeah. You could see that. I think that I've always talked about her professionalism and her dedication to the work. I worked with Marissa Tomei very briefly before she left, just a little while, but I've seen her since then, and she's always so nice, and again remembers her roots, and not just like Billy Fichtner. He's another one who played Josh. My father, who works more than anybody in Hollywood, but nobody knows his name. He's one of those guys, right? He's been in every movie, every TV show. There's so much talent. I think we were so fortunate to be in New York City, where a lot of theater kids, we were all, I didn't do it, but a lot of Larry Brigman and Kathleen Widows, and there was a lot of theater people in our show. So that their training was more in that space, I think. But Julianne was always special. She really was very dedicated to her. Not that we all weren't, but she had something very special.
So your show had a lot of legends besides the both of you, like Larry Bergman, who you just mentioned, and Kathleen Widows. And does anybody keep in touch with Eileen Fulton?
She lives in South Carolina. She lives in South Carolina, and she's still here and with her family. And I haven't seen her, but I do know people who do keep in touch with her, and Larry and Don Hastings, and sadly we lost Kathy Hayes. And
A bunch of us talked to Eileen last year on
you
her
did.
birthday. Yeah,
That's right.
and she asked me if I was still living in my motor coach.
So she remembered. That's good.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh, she was sharp. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
So I'm getting a text from a fan listening and watching us, and they're asking, when can we see a gathering of As the World Turns Stars? I know last year I was invited, actually it's now 2 years, to another World 60th anniversary luncheon, and they had about 30 people from the cast from beginning to current, to the when it's ended. Is there any possibility we can do an As the World Turns reunion?
Definitely. I think it's a great idea. I think we've been
I'd be up
talking
for
about
it.
that. Yeah, I think we've been
Yeah.
talking about it, here, and we have the right people to organize it who, kind of the behind the scenes are, the unspoken heroes of our show are our production team who were equally part of our family. So, yes, absolutely. Let's do it. I know I'll make some phone calls, but definitely we'll do that.
Maybe I could even get a warehouse to host it.
That's a good idea. We'll do
Sure.
something.
So, what you had so many, as Duncan, so many great storylines, and especially you with Margaret. I mean, the love connection and all the great stuff. What was your favorite storyline?
I really didn't have a favorite. Our brilliant writer, our head writer, Douglas Marland, who was one of the actual original creators of the genre, wrote these wonderful stories. They were a little gothic sometimes, and then the story with me and Tamara and the interracial thing. It was a challenge, and I love as an actor to be challenged. I think most of us do. And when poor Doug passed away, the new writers had no idea what to do with drunken McKechnie. So
They were lost. It was so obvious, when Doug passed, that the scrambling that went on to try to make the show survive without him.
I think that happened to
very
most of them.
difficult.
I think that happened to most of the shows when, like, the Agnes Nixon left and Irene Phillips, if you read about Guiding Light and those histories, once the originators, because they had an image of what they wanted, it was very hard. Did any of you work with Mimi Behar? She just passed away this week.
No.
Oh,
no.
I didn't know that.
Yes, she was sick.
Yeah. Sorry to hear.
Oh, you're talking about Felicia?
I'm sorry, yes.
Oh, I did. I worked with her. Yeah, I did. I worked with her when she came over from after All My Children. She left All My Children. And, my experience with her as a mother, I think she, when I had my first son, she said, take as long as you want on maternity leave. Like, come back when you want. Call me whenever you're ready. And that meant a lot to me because I had a very difficult birth with my first son, and I didn't really want to go back to work for a long time. And she respected that. And then when I got a movie for CBS, she had them write me out very quickly, and I banked all these scenes so that I could go do the CBS movie because she recognized the actors' needs and wants too, as well as, but she was very much about the mother. So she was very friendly, mother friendly, and marriage friendly about taking time, and family was very important to her. So that's my greatest memory of her time with us on As the World Turns, for sure. She was very good to me.
I know Michael has to go, he said, and I would love to get some more with him because Martha's going to stay with me. But Michael, so many people are asking, what are you up to? What are you doing? Tell us a little bit about yourself that we haven't seen since 2010.
Oh, well, like I
What
said,
are your hobbies? You must be enjoying some free time.
I still hit the gym almost every day, and like I say, I've been doing streamer movies and a lot of voice work. The other thing I do that is not too often or too far between, I sing at private parties with a pianist, and that's fun. I really love that. You know, had I to do it all over again, I would have pushed for being a singer, not an actor.
Well, before you go, I do want to ask because you are a conservative actor and we are conservative here. And I did start by saying, do you think there's going to be changes? What would be the biggest change you would like to see? Because I still saw a lot of wokeness at the Oscars and a lot of,
Oh
you know,
yeah, it's just it's
what could we do to change it? There really are a lot of people both in front and behind the camera who are conservative.
it's about common sense, and I agree with you. I think Don should. I mean, I know his schedule's slammed anyway, but I wish he could come out to California and get the people in the Central Valley who are already conservative to start make a noise and somehow get rid of Newscomb and his minions.
Well, who's going to run for governor from the Republicans?
What's his name? The Republican that's trying to rerun for mayor in Los Angeles. I can't think of his name, but he's going to be on the ballot when we try to get rid of Karen Bass. And we just need to get the Republican National Committee to, like you said, start concentrating on California, because
The same thing with New York. We have the same issue. People
yes,
they have an opening here with the scandals with the Mayor Adams, with the scandals with Kathy Hochul, and they're just sitting doing nothing. And then they ask me to help out, and I feel that it's time that the grassroots either make up their mind to stay away and let them sink and start from scratch, or listen to us and make some changes, because I'm tired of bench warmers just sitting there and then asking us for money.
and with that, girls, I gotta go. So it was
Well,
Great to
great
see you,
we
being with
want to.
you.
Michael.
This was really an honor, Michael, and I hope you'll come back and we will try to get an As the World Turns together, because there's nothing more than family and faith and allegiance, and that really represented everybody from the Hughes family through and the Stewarts and everybody around them, all through As the World Turns. So I hope your world is turning bright and shiny, and you got to come back and let us know the project you're working on so that we can all view it and share it with our audience and with your fans.
It would be my pleasure. And meanwhile, love to both of you. It was great
You
being
too.
with you.
Thank you so much.
Next time. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. So, everybody, I have a long, long beginning and a long, long end, but Martha's going to stay on with me, and we're going to talk about a lot of things that a lot of you are going to be interested in, because Martha has a huge announcement, and I must admit, I am a part of it.
Yes.
So, Martha, please share with my audience your big, big news that I'm a part of.
Yeah, so I have a book coming out I don't know when, I don't have a publishing date yet, but I don't know how many people know what has gone on in my life, but my husband was falsely arrested by the FBI in October of 2020, and we've been fighting them ever since. And it's been one crazy, horrible nightmare. But I how this book kind of came out, and Cindy has been amazing. I was actually invited to a women's writers retreat at the Jersey Shore by a friend, and I went because I needed some time to kind of focus on my writing. I had written a couple of pieces for I self-published some articles, and I really enjoyed it. It was very mentally helpful for me with everything that was going on, and I felt like I needed to put it on the page before I forgot. Most importantly, because my brain is not functioning the way it used to. So I went away and I wrote 60,000 words in like a few days. I just came out of me. It's like it was so present in my mind, and then Cindy's like, you have to have your story has to get out there, and Cindy connected me with Post Hill Press, and we are. And my dog's going to bark now and chase something.
That's
And
what live does. Live TV
that's
does
what
that.
live does. And he's literally right above me right now. So he's going to go to the backyard now. So then, so now we're in our final kind of edit phases, and I'm very, it really covers. My goal was to have something for everybody in the book, and for the fans, I will kind of tease for the fans who watched As the World Turns, is there's a lot of backstage uh, ins and outs of kind of why I left As the World Turns, which I've never really revealed before in my life, and it's very personal, and it's strangely tied to this other story, which is all about resilience and integrity and fighting for what's right and never compromising yourself for what's right. I do talk about Elizabeth Hubbard's passing, who played my mother on As the World Turns. My two mothers on As the World Turns died during this time, and Lisa Brown also passed away during this last 4.5 years, and they're
Should
two
we
of the
ask you
most.
which was your favorite mother?
They're so different, and then they're so different. They couldn't be more polar opposite personality wise, as you can imagine. And then there's Kathleen Widows, who played my grandmother, who's still with us, thank goodness. She's just the best. She's just wacky and fun and totally different personality from Lisa and Liz. But losing two people very close to you while you're also being attacked by the federal government, and they're trying to take your husband and put him in federal prison, is not something I recommend for anybody. And no one should ever go through it, because when you're falsely arrested and you're falsely framed, I say framed, well, maybe, you have to read the book to see what my theories on all these things are. But I've become quite an investigator. So there's a lot about the FBI and how they treated this case, and how they really, really behaved in such an unethical manner to take down an innocent man for their own purpose. And with everything that's going on right now in the world, and you heard about the FBI director in New York was forcibly had to resign yesterday. He's connected to our case in such a way that is, I believe, is that he was involved in a case in New York that maybe could help my husband. He was also interviewed at one point for right around my husband's trial in June of 23. He did an interview where he talked about private investigators, which is what my husband was. He was retired NYPD sergeant who turned a private investigator and got falsely arrested. Anyway, my point is that the book gives you a behind the scenes of what a federal trial it looks like, and how prosecutors will do anything to win. I mean, they will, as we've learned with Trump's trials, and our case really mirrors the actions of the justice system, or I call the injustice system. And it's so hard for me, because when I watch Twitter or I see something like that, and I hear people's theories, and I know they're wrong because I've lived it, and with Trump's cases, the tactics that were used were completely outside the box of what we're supposed to do in this country, and we were living it too. But we were just one family. But I had to go out publicly and defend my husband, because the media went one lane, and that was against my husband, and they were never telling the full story, and that was on purpose. That was purposeful. I just explore that in the book. I know people that were behind that and who kept information quiet, and it's disturbing. Here's the sad part. I did my thank yous and my acknowledgments at the end of the book. I
hope I got one.
Of course. That should put a big star next to your name. And
I'm just
I know you are in there. I have a couple of 100 listed people, and there's only one journalist that I could thank. Can you imagine? This case was high profile case. My husband's case is involved China, involved Wuhan, involved all these incredible, interesting pieces of the story, and I could only thank one journalist. It pained me to say that, because that means how many didn't tell the truth when I say the truth, I mean you leave out part of a story, you're not telling the truth. You're not showing both sides, you
Look, I
know?
can relate to this. My case is still ongoing. People who are currently in the Trump administration knew about it, had my paperwork, and were afraid of Randy Weingarten and the teachers union. And they said that to me.
Yeah, I
And
get it.
it's very interesting because both of us have been with Trump before any of knowing each other and
Mhm.
2020. I mean, I've been with Trump since 2015. And I tell people it's just one person, it's who's underneath them.
So true.
And there's so much to be done in so little time that not everything is going to be fixed. And
No.
I might never get the resolution in my case, despite the fact that we have the evidence, the transcripts against the people who are supposed to be protecting your children, because mine's an
Yeah.
education situation. The evidence of the teachers' union's involvement. I have a load of that right
Well, at least
there
you
in
have a
their hands.
chance though. Don't you? And don't you feel, I feel like there's with this these appoint the people that have been appointed, you know, I've met many of them throughout the years. And these are people who were not in the White House team when I met them, and they have been consistently supportive of us before, long before, you know, Michael Lawler, Congressman Michael Lawler, he was at a fundraiser for my husband before he was elected to Congress and said, I'm going to be there for you. And he's been there constantly for
Now,
us.
you're talking about one of my favorite people, but overall, I will not mention here because it's still an ongoing case.
Yeah.
But people who are elected officials who are highly respected by Trump MAGA people and conservatives had the case in their hand and they were petrified of the teachers union.
Well, look what happened. Look what happened. Look what happened with COVID. I mean, that's a perfect example. Like we learned what happened with COVID when it was the teachers unions wanted to do X, Y, and Z, and they influenced, and it's on record. Like, look, like you said, we're not going to win every battle,
No.
but here's my takeaway for people. I worked every single day to make sure that the people who could possibly help us were aware of the case. I never gave up. It became a full-time job for me. And then the Pipe Hitter Foundation came in, Eddie Gallagher's foundation, and supported us pretty early on, who is a foundation that helps falsely accused first responders, police officers, firemen, military. And that first win, that first support, that first phone call from them to
Makes the
say, we
biggest
support you,
difference.
everything. Because then you start believing that there is hope. If you lose hope, you lose everything. And to watch an Ed Martin, for instance, who's now the DC U.S. Attorney, who I've known for a couple of years now, you know, how we met and where he was, and like how amazing he was of a human being and a genuine person, like a genuinely good person, who's always been behind us and supported us, is I'm happy to see that. Like when I see that, I go, okay, that's a good thing. But I also wanted to write the book because I'm one of a million stories that never get told. You know, the pressure, the bullying, the lying, the disparagement, the danger that they put my family in because they wanted something that
I
has,
can relate to this
yeah,
totally.
you
And
do.
we're not Donald Trump. We don't have endless
Right.
funds. And they've taken
No.
away so much of my finances
Yeah. Same. It's the same thing. It's like you don't
and
you,
my
you want to fight the
benefits.
government. Yeah, you want to fight the government. You better have, you know, a few $1 million
Sorry.
at your disposal to even. I didn't know that. I thought from the beginning, bless you, that it would
Thank you.
be, you know, oh, what's the truth? Well, the truth is going to win, right?
But
Not if they don't want it to.
the problem is we still have too many rhinos in power. We
Mm,
still have too many people who are in committee leaderships and in business leaderships within both parties that are making the deals. And that's why getting involved in local elections is so important because it
huge.
starts at the local level. And
100%.
do not sit back and think that you're going to just wait, maybe vote for the congressional seats, which a lot of people are already so turned off to.
Hmm.
And are just waiting to see what's going to happen in 4 years. I mean, let's face it, there is a ground game to try to get congressional approval to have 4 more years of Trump. People are very happy.
Mm,
Um,
interesting. Well,
and
you're right. Look at Scott Pressler. He's a perfect example. Scott Pressler is one man. If we had 1,000 Scott Presslers going around the country and generating, conversation about getting people to register to vote and understanding who their local officials are, and I'm talking about even on the school board, voting for moms to go on the school board. And, I've been to a couple of those meetings, and you're absolutely right. It's your local mayor, it's your local, representatives. Educate yourself and get involved, because realistically, like you said, that's your day to day. Those are the people who
right.
affect your day to day. The bigger stuff, once you get up to the top, then it's a whole other game. But
So I
you're
admire Scott Pressler. I have to say something because this is an audience that's grassroots. Scott Pressler's working for the Republican National Committee, and they go with the established. So an example in New Jersey for the governor's race,
Yep.
where he's pushing Jack Ciattarelli. I know a lot of people, and it's almost neck and neck with Bill Spadia. And they want Bill Spadia. A lot of people feel that Jack already lost twice. Why are we putting him up a third time?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know anything about. My point is, whatever we have to do, we have to be united. We have to make a
Correct.
decision, and that's where the Democrats get, they're very united, whether they they agree or not. They stand together. I mean, look what happened
Correct.
with this men and women's sports thing yesterday, which is shocking to me that not one Democratic senator voted. I don't get that. I think it's going to be a backfire on them. It was a
Well, that
losing
happens all the
issue.
time with the Jewish vote. That happens all the time with votes with Israel. I don't care what they say about a Richie Torres or now John Fetterman. What they overall vote down ballot with their parties. They're
Right.
among Jews, among blacks. Oh, you could vote for Trump, but vote locally this year as a Democrat and change so you could vote in a primary. That never works out in the long run in the midterms for Republicans. Why you want to set yourself up for that, I have no idea. Trump has a big plan. We're finding out more and more about it.
Yeah.
And one thing I could say, good, bad, or indifferent, people are taking notice around the world about what's going on at the White House.
That's right. It wasn't, listen, this whole idea of like, oh, I can't believe what he's doing. He told you what he was going to do. You knew this was coming. You maybe didn't believe it, but he is not playing. I mean, this is what people voted for. And when a senator or a congressman vote against what the people have wished, and I'm not saying everybody, I'm just saying the majority, read the room, that whole joke, read the room. Like, people the people have spoken, and that's kind of what his team has been saying. Like, this is
Right.
what you asked us to do. There's going to be growing pains. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. People, like in Trump's first administration, he had a big plan and other people had other plans, and they were the establishment, and they spied on him, and they put people in that were not his supporters, and now he's in a different place now, and I think that'll be beneficial for the country. You're not going to agree with everything he does. That's not how the world works. And like you said, not everything's going to happen in your timeline or what you want, but we have to be united behind America first, and protecting our country and protecting our citizens. And I love him. I love saying that, going to California and shaking that tree out there and saying, okay guys, because the fact is there's a lot of conservatives that live in California that will vote Republican next time if they have paper ballots, same day voting. I think that would be the best news of all for the country, and make it a national holiday, and everybody has to vote, and it's paper ballots, and that's it, right? ID, common sense. Why not? If you don't want that, you got to wonder why. So I feel like we're heading in the right direction for sure.
What else besides a book are you doing as we close, Martha?
Well, I'm still in this fight with getting my husband exonerated, completely exonerated. I would, I'm, I not only do I want him to be pardoned. I want him to be completely exonerated. So I'm fighting that every single day, and I have wonderful support in that. And I, it's my life has changed dramatically in this space of trying to help the country from a because of my research now because of my husband's case, what I've uncovered and kind of shared with uh, DC and the proper people as far. No, this is not like brain surgery stuff. This is like I found this. It's a concern, and I think that our country would be better off if we did something about it. Um, I don't know if that's going to lead to a job in that space eventually once my husband is exonerated and he can actually have. All I care about right now is getting my husband uh, through this, and my kids. My kids have been great and have thrived despite the government trying to destroy them. We have thrived and survived, much to their disappointment, I'm sure. But I'm sorry, you don't mess with my family, and we'll be okay. It's like we're just please leave us alone. Please put this behind
We've
us.
got to wrap this up because
That's
I've
it.
got to get to my closing, and
Okay.
you're always welcome back.
Thank
And
you.
it's going to be the book is coming out from Post Hill Press, the premier nonfiction conservative publisher. I mean, there's only a couple of them around, and I was very happy to make that connection for you. And I'm super excited for the book because it's going to help even people like myself in my own world of
Definitely.
whistleblower protection. And actually, I was the Republican Jewish teacher protecting Black Democratic families who are struggling and who can't get out of the poverty and crime neighborhoods because they keep voting Democrat. Martha, you're always welcome back to Write for America, and I
Thank
look
you.
forward to speaking to you soon.
You got it. Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
And with that, the hour is getting closer and closer to the end, and I must close with my pearls of wisdom. And I started out talking about the Oscars and for me as a Jew, what I felt has to be done. And I just want to tell you, Zionism, even though it talks about having the Jewish state, Zionism is actually a democratic idea because there are so many Christian Zionists that look to Israel for their religious searching, for their history, learning about their history, and also the economic and the freedoms that are in Israel that are nowhere else in the rest of the Middle East. And my suggestion is go look up Theodore Herzl, learn about him, the founder of Zionism. Talk to your families and children about it and start bringing up the discussion in your churches and synagogues. If you will it, it is no dream. That was true over 100 years ago, and it's true today because there is nothing more important than having a great ally like America and Israel. There is nothing stronger than having one democratic nation in a very volatile area, and that is Israel. And October 7th happened, and still women's groups and children's groups are silent about the rapes and murders and destruction of homes to innocent victims. We never saw this in war before, and hopefully we will never see it again. But if you and I remain silent, it's as though we are part of the problem, not the solution. And with that, we're going to be closing. And I just want to remind everybody that you can listen to the show on Sunday mornings on WGBB Radio, 95.5 FM and 102.4 AM, Sunday mornings, 10 Eastern. We stream through Rumble, we stream through YouTube, we stream through iHeart, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and every major outlet. And you could also read my articles on Newsmax, Israel National News. This week I had one in the Times of Israel, and I will be joining the Jewish Link, the Queen's Jewish Link, actually. So this is Cindy Gross, your Jewess patriot, the host of Write for America, Issues That Unite, Don't Ignite, and I will see you next week.